Good evening. Welcome to the Boise Bus. It's just gone 7 o'clock on a Tuesday, so you all know what that means. It's the Tuesday Ticket. I'm your host, David Logue, and as usual, I'm joined by Phil McGinley and Regan Stevenson. Boys, how we doing?
Brilliant, mate.
The
Absolutely smashing.
15th of August is looming, David. It's looming. It's coming.
What, the 15th of August, mate? I'm not worried. Listen, loads of time for that announcement to come, mate. Loads of time.
Anthony Joseph, forget anybody else. I broke the story 15th of August. I said it on the 18th of June. It's coming. It's coming, David.
I can't wait for him to be announced at 11:59 on the 14th of August, mate. You got? I bet you've got that shirt sitting in your basket, waiting for me to send me the link.
It's 70 quid. Celtic store, David. I'm ready to go.
I'm gonna make sure there's a spelling error, so there's no H on the end, so it'll be slightly cheaper when I buy the. It'll be slightly cheaper. Listen, if you are wondering what we're talking about, if you have missed any of the Tuesday tickets, Regan alluded to he'd said the 15th of August is when we'd announced Adam Idah, and I was that confident that he would be wrong that I said I would buy him the new Celtic shirt with Adam Idah on the back if he's announced the 15th. So let's all cross our fingers and toes that he comes before then. But before we get talking about we've got lots to talk about tonight. But before we start doing that, give us a like, give us a share, buy some hair, give us a like, subscribe, become a Boise Bus member for small cost $1.99. You can support the bus that way. It's just totally optional, guys. You don't get anything extra. It's just your way of supporting the bus. All the content is absolutely free. And big shout out to piesports.com for 12.5% off at the checkout of your Days to Pay Streets with Bus 1888 at the checkout. Hopefully I can get some 12.5% off the Celtic top if he gets announced on the 15th of August, Phil.
hey, you've laid your bed there, so you need to get the lay in your bed.
I was going to have to lie in it.
Yep, yeah,
to lie in that bed with.
You put it out there publicly on one of our live shows, so people know now it's out there.
It's out there. Listen, I'll happily, I'll pay my dues. I'll pay. All debts will be paid if he's signed. But we've put out a wee poll tonight because we want to know what your thoughts are on the Adam Idah price tag, because for some reason that's the big talking point of this saga now, is the price tag of they're saying up to $9.5 million for Adam Idah. Phil,
yes.
So why is it 9.5 price tag being considered as that Celtic's been taken for a ride by Norwich? Because when we signed Odsonne Edouard from PSG, there was no narrative that PSG had pulled Celtic's pants down when we spent $9 million on French Eddie, who arguably had a far lesser impact on Celtic's season than Idah did last year. Eddie had played 22 games on his loan spell, scoring 9 goals and 2 assists. One of them, of course, was against Rangers in the 2017-18 season. Adam Idah played 15 league games and scored 8 goals and 2 assists, with 4 cup appearances, scoring 1 cup-winning goal. Tell me, am I forgetting? Am I forgetting the narrative that Odsonne Edouard was not worth the $9 million when we spent that on him? Because I'm finding it difficult to get on board with us getting our pants pulled down here. I mean, we want to sign quality, and quality you got to spend that kind of money. I also kind of feel, Phil, that a player is worth whatever the manager's willing to pay for him, and Brendan Rodgers obviously feels that he's worth spending the $9.5 million on, because, well, that $9.5 million I think already paid for itself, because it was looking very much likely that this league title last season was slipping away from our grasp, and Adam Idah had a massive part in retaining the title and winning a cup. Goals against Hibs, he pretty much single-handedly won the game against Motherwell. Scored a goal at Ibrox that, we ended up obviously losing 3-0, but and of course scored the win in the Scottish Cup final. That's a big game player. Yes, he wasn't considered the first choice striker at the time, but I think we might be seeing our first choice striker coming in at $9.5 million, Phil. And the price tag just water off a duck's back for Celtic when you think about the funds that we've got sitting in the bank, Phil.
Yes, first thing I need to do is congratulate Celtic for finally stepping into the modern age of football, because this is the type of prices you need to pay. A few years ago, we're talking about, let's say, about 9 million, and obviously prices have gone up since then. Football, it's always going up. So 9 million, 9.5 million, potentially, whatever it can rise up to. This is just the way football is nowadays. We know what the boy can bring to us. We know what he could. We saw it last season. And I'm excited to see him here. I'm glad it's finally going to be over the line. We definitely need him. We know what he can add to us. And I agree with you as well. I think our first choice striker I think he's coming in for that price. I don't think he's coming to sit on the bench for 38 games or whatever it is. But in terms of the price, I don't know why people are freaking out about it, because if you actually look at the money that we've already generated from sales that have gone out this year alone, I mean, we've got a fair whack for Idah early in the year. Remember that transfer? That was
8 to 10 million, I think.
Yeah. Obviously, O has disappeared. Haksabanovic. Apparently, we were able to get at least 2 million out of Stoke City for Boston Lawwell, who's never kicked a ball for us in a first team game, in a competitive game. So it's like, I think in terms of the outlay, I can't get on board as well with people freaking out about it. And I know everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but for me, I'm quite calm about it, and I think this is the type of prices you've got to pay. So fair play to Celtic for finally trying to do something a bit more modern, a bit more 2024. So thank God for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Regan, Phil just rattled off a few names that we've let go just in the last few windows. Like I said, speculating here, but they said it was around 4 million for O. I think there's maybe between 2 to 3 to 4 million, we'll say. Yeah, 3 million for a reserve player in Lowell that didn't kick a ball for us. I mean, put that into perspective. We got 3 million for a player that didn't kick a ball for us in a competitive game last season.
Yep.
We got another 3 million in Haksabanovic, who again didn't kick a ball for us at all last season. And then we got well, they're saying around about 8 million to 10 million for Idah, who had checked out long before he'd left. And there was, he wasn't playing, not because he was injured, because he wasn't deemed that he was in the right headspace to be playing football for non-footballing reasons. So, to generate that amount of money, to buy your looking like our new first team striker, first choice striker, potentially. I mean, it's not. It's and Regan. It's not just some of our fan base. There's a lot of, I'm seeing on Twitter, fans from Motherwell, fans for Rangers, fans for Aberdeen going on about how we've had our pants pulled down. Teams that could really dream of spending 9 million on a striker, which hasn't. Let's be serious here. Hasn't dented the bank kitty. It hasn't dented the kitty at all. That's you want us to act like a big club. Well, that's how big clubs act. They go and spend money on players that they know and the manager knows will improve our team.
I think that's spot on, David. And play devil's advocate again. We over the past 12 months, we've spent over, I think it's 7 million on 2 centre backs that have only played like something like 10 games between them, and Bielka and the Polish guy. So I think we need to be realistic as well and say that this is the modern day market as well. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not every day that you're going to pay like 500 grand for a Victor Wanyama. You need to move with the times as well. And I also do see the argument though that Celtic should be, see when they're getting players on loan, David, they should be inserting a package there and then to go, if this guy does well, then we want to arrange a price. Because I think one of the stumbling blocks is that Norwich and Celtic, they didn't agree what they were going to do after the transfer for the loan. So see, even if they said, right, after the loan you can pay 9 million, everybody would have been happier because then the deal would have been done quicker. but that's one of the reasons why I said the 15th of August, because I knew that probably the clubs wouldn't start training again and playing pre-season until about the 29th of July. So it was always going to take this long, because he was always going to see what that new manager was like and see what it was like at Norwich. But he probably just had to look at Shane Duffy at the weekend and Grant Hanley. I mean, if you want to stay around with they two at the back, I mean, I don't think they two could save you. I just don't know what Norwich are going to do this season, because they two at the back seem a bit of a car crash. So he'll probably be glad he's out there. But I think also as well, I think what you said earlier in the podcast, for people that watch the Tuesday ticket, you also said that you didn't like his attitude of forcing through the move. But
No, I didn't.
and I tend to agree with that as well, David. I didn't agree the way he went about it, but I'm glad it's over the line now.
I mean, D-Max here, I like what he's saying. He says, what's the obsession with how much money Celtic have or in the bank or spend? As long as we get the player that improves the team regardless of cost, then I'm no bothered. We need more quality signings. I'm fully on board with that, D-Mac. I mean, it's like, the way I kind of look at it is, it's like when you go to a car garage and you see that nice new motor and it's got the nice new alloys and the nice new paint job and it's got the leather seats and it's got the head leather and it's all the stitching there, that looks nice. You sit in the car, you turn the engine on, you hear the wee purr coming out the exhaust and the engine, and what brake horsepower is that? You don't care. You don't care about the price. You're just, all you're thinking about is how much fun I'm going to have in this new motor. When I open up on the motorway, you put on the foot on the accelerator and it opens up and you know what it's going to do. You just put a smile on your face.
David.
And then you don't go, the price tag's like the last thing in your mind. And you'll find a way to try and justify you buying that, because I know what I'm getting if I buy this and I'm going to enjoy it. And I think that's what we've got to do with Adam Idah. We know what we're getting with Adam Idah. We got to go on a test drive Adam Idah and we found out that he's got a bit more brake horsepower under the bonnet than we first thought. All right, well, don't forget you've got the car tax adding that. Oh, we need to add the new, you want to take the tyres as well. You've got to add all that kind of stuff in. And I feel like that's kind of what Norwich has done here. Like, Boyce is in the chat tonight. He's saying, and it's a valid point. How did it take 11 weeks to negotiate $8.5 million fee though? That's my issue, not the price. No way Norwich had to deal with it if we had made this offer in the first place. I mean, they knew how much Brendan Rodgers wanted him. We made it fairly obvious that we liked what we saw out on the forecourt. You know what I mean? And it's like, right, okay, well, make us an offer, and we are going to try and lowball them. I think any club's going to try and low. Let's look at Atalanta, for example. They've made it very, very, very clear that they want Matt O'Reilly, and we'll get talking about that soon enough. Well, we value Matt O'Reilly at this price, and we know how much you want him. So if you want him, come and buy them. And I just think we know what our board's like. We were going, and I think, to be fair, I know there's the argument that Norwich are just playing hardball to get as much as they want. I do feel that manager genuinely did want to try and keep Adam Idah. I mean, why wouldn't he? We know that we've been willing to spend $9.5 million on him because we know the quality that he brings. Therefore, you're not telling me the manager wasn't genuinely interested in trying to keep hold of him if they could. Phil, I mean, what's your take on that? The length of time it's taken to broker the deal. I mean, ideally, we'd have loved to have got him in early enough, but we all know the board are just going to go $8.5 million. Okay, there you go. They're just not.
Norwich were always going to, have hold on for a while, because, as you say, that manager definitely wanted to have a wee look at. It would be really naive of a new manager to come in and just decide right away within his first week, you could just go, because he will have been very much aware of how Adam Idah performed last season and what he did. It was big news. So, he was very much within his right to have a look at him, and that's probably why it's dragged on as long as it has. They've obviously, he's wanted to keep him as much. I mean, he was on the bench at the weekend against Oxford. Didn't make much of an impact when he came on. I think Norwich ended up losing 2-0. But yeah, it was always a case of their manager was definitely going to have a look at him. It would be very wrong of him not to. As a manager, you've got to be looking at all your options, because you could be sitting with something there under your nose that's the secret to success this season. But Adam Idah, of course, eventually pushed it through. as we know. And it's all done and dusted. Now, funny enough, when you're saying about, Russell would put that in the comments there about the negotiated to $8.5 million. Russell put a tweet out about this earlier asking the same question, and I notice this whenever Russell puts a tweet out that gets it throws out a grenade out there at the Twitter, and you'll see the number of replies. It was one of those ones where there was loads of replies. So I thought, I'm going to have a wee nosy here and see what people are saying back to him. Somebody in amongst that said that apparently this is just one of these, just coming up with so he said that they wanted at least 15 million for him. I don't know about that. I think we would have heard about that already. But somebody replied to him saying that apparently they wanted 15 mil. So I don't know if that's maybe a board apologist just saying, see, the board did do a good job, negotiated down to 8.5 million. I don't know. I think if 15 million is what they were looking for, we would have heard somewhere along the line that that's what they were looking for. But I think it's just dragged out just because the manager just was doing everything his power to give him a chance and hold on to him and try and change his mind and convince him, because the boy is a good player. He's shown it when he came up here. And maybe they thought with that wee loan spell, maybe things would turn around for him at Norwich, because up to now, he hasn't obviously done that great at Norwich, but maybe they were thinking that would give him that lease of life that he needed. But it's done now, and he's on his way. And
that's all that matters.
David,
We've got the guy we wanted, and I think that's what we need to focus on. It's not really dented. Not that, like we said there, who cares? Who cares if we've had to spend $9.5 million? I'm glad we've spent $9.5 million. Maybe that will set a precedent now. Maybe that will set a bar now that we have to go, right, well, you want to sign quality, that's what you do look at. You touched on it earlier, I think you did, Regan. You're a bit of a Spurs man. Dominic Solanke, 64 million. Is he worth it? Well, I mean, they don't care. They're happy they've got their guy in. I mean, the guy scored 19 goals last season. It was his best ever season in the Premier League. Does that warrant 64 million? No, but that's the kind of money you got to pay for a top striker these days. A guy that we were linked by only 4 years ago. So,
I've got a quick question for you guys, though, David. I seen it on social media earlier. Do the Celtic board, though, take the excitement away from transfers? The fact that sometimes everybody's just getting so fed up with it taking so long, and then the excitement of the transfers actually taken away.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, because we have kind of got a bit bored, lack of a better word, of the whole saga. So I mean, but it's not dampened my spirits that he's now here. It's not been an anticlimax that, all right, cool, we've got him now. I'm excited that he's in. I'm excited at the prospect of what an Adam Idah under a 5-year contract can do for Celtic, rather than an Adam Idah that we're getting a wee test drive of for 6 months, so we might not get to keep him. I remember saying it in the group chat, knowing Celtic, we didn't put an option to buying this guy, and it's going to end up being unbelievable for us, and we will be having to spend a fair chunk on him. It's a bit of tongue in cheek, because I didn't think we'd actually go for him after the 6 months, because I was convinced it wasn't going to turn out. But here we are. I'm just delighted it's done, and I feel like we might now see the floodgates opening. Is there things that could be learned from this transfer saga, Phil? Yes.
Yeah.
Will there be lessons learned, Phil? No.
Probably not. No, tentatively no.
No.
Yeah, it's been the saga, that and Bernardo. 2 slam dunks. For me, Bernardo was more of a slam dunk because we already had a price agreed. So I can understand why the Norwich one maybe dragged on, because there wasn't a price agreed. But yeah, we've been through the ringer with this one. And in terms of what Regan there, the question that he posed, I wouldn't say it's the board that will kill the enthusiasm. I just think that's transfers nowadays. Everything's through social media now. Everything's in the public eye. It's very rare that you get a transfer that literally just comes out of nowhere, and that you're like, oh my God, where did that come from? Kyogo joining us springs to mind. That was a rare time when you literally woke up in the morning and suddenly Celtic have signed this Japanese striker that nobody had a clue was happening. But nowadays, with the way social media is, it's all played out in the public eye. Guys like Fabrizio Romano, I can't wait to tell you of the latest transfer rumours and latest gossip that he's heard. So it's just indicative of the current transfer market. I don't think it's necessarily the board that killed the enthusiasm. I think when it drags on, just every transfer's played out, by the time the player actually gets here, fans have just got fatigued. And I think that's the same across the whole board, the whole football.
9 million's still a lot of money.
I don't know if you're going to
Celtic. It just isn't. It's just not. We spent 7 million on fucking Julian, who within 3 years people were chasing out the door. Like, and look what Julian brought for us when we signed him. We paid 7 million for that guy, and our defence instantly looked better because we'd spent money in a higher bracket. That's just what we need to do, Regan. If we want quality in that Rodgers has been banging on about for a year and a half now, quality. And what's he been doing throughout this window so far, Regan? He's been getting rid of deadwood, people that aren't going to make any impact in our squad, get them out the door, so, and we're collecting £3 million change with each one, for guys that we want nowhere near our team. So if you want guys that are quality, then you're add a fair few more millions onto the price tags to get good replacements in. And I think what Rodgers has been doing, and maybe he's been playing the long game, and just let's move these chess pieces out the way to then start buying. Because look what happened today. We'll get onto it. Quan's out the door, Lawal's out the door, O's away, Hagsban's away, and now that Idah'S in, the main target, we've had 4 or 5 links in the last 24 hours since that's happened, which I've got a whole in front of me, which we will discuss. But the point I'm making is, it looks like the floodgates are about to open, Regan. Fingers crossed.
David, I think it does, and I think the next person we should be bringing in is a centre back or a left back, because as much as I enjoy Greg Taylor, and I know people on the bus are no big fans of him, but I think Greg Taylor's done very well this season. But I think it's for proper competition in the squad. I don't think I can reveal who's next, but a person that
What, the date though? You'll give the date though.
Come on, Fabrizio, tell us.
A person that I would want to see in next is a guy that plays for the Spurs. He plays for Spurs under 21s at the moment. He played for Plymouth last season. Is Phillips? Do you know him, David? He plays.
Who? Sorry.
Ashley.
Ashley Phillips.
Ashley Phillips.
Have we linked with him?
What? Yeah.
Have we?
Yeah, What, David? I think he's a great player, David. That really, I watched him last season. He played some matches for Ange Postecoglou, and when he first came in the door, and he was great, and he's playing for the England under 21s already. So I just feel like that's somebody we can really bring in. I think he'd be good for a potential loan to buy. This is a guy that's really done well at Blackburn Rovers as well. So, no, I think he's somebody that we should be looking at.
Oh, I mean, I didn't even. I've not seen any links, but you like I said, you've got a close eye on Spurs, so you'll know better than me. Bus exclusive, Regan's.
Regan's ITK, mate. It's ITK.
That's it.
So,
Phoning up John Hartson on Go Radio and everything. He's ITK, mate. Got the connections.
What position is he? Is he a left back?
No, centre back, David.
Oh, he's a centre back. How old is he, Regan?
He's about 21, 22, Ashley Phillips. I'll tell you.
As long as he's not like Nat Phillips, then that's
no,
right.
He's a great player. He's really good on the ball as well. So, but Spurs are looking for a club to come in and take him. So on
loan, they're not willing to let him go permanently on loan.
No,
yeah?
potentially on loan. So I think he'd be somebody that we could potentially look at.
Fair enough. Okay, well, let's just move on to some more gossip news, hearsay. One that was doing the rounds this morning was the former Celta Vigo CDM, can play centre back as well, Renato Tapia. He is a free agent, and according to reports, Celtic are one of many teams looking to sign him on a free. He is 29 years old, played for Celtic Vigo, didn't have the greatest season last year. Then again, I don't think a lot of the players did that well in that particular side. Carl Starfelt's at Celtic Vigo, I believe, isn't he?
Yeah, I got last
well,
pass as well. You know who he is. He plays
we
up
all know,
front for
yeah.
Celtic Vigo. Yeah.
Yeah. So Brazilian outfit Fluminense and Bundesliga side Union Berlin are also apparently keeping tabs on Tapia, who made 25 appearances for Celta Vigo last season across all competitions. He looks like a mental case. He looks like an absolute monster. Bill, be honest, had you heard of him until today? Is he packed on your ultimate team, mate?
Mate, I didn't want to go down that route. That's the only reason I know of him. I've probably seen him somewhere on Ultimate Team, seen his name pop up somewhere, Tapia. But yeah, we definitely do need centre back. That is no doubt about it. Liam Scales at the weekend, I know he was on it against Kilmarnock and scored in that, but there was a few shaky moments there, which just further, illustrates that we need to be looking at centre back period or centre back department, because Brendan Rodgers again has made it clear that Nawrocki and Lagerbielke ain't his cup of tea. So it's encouraging that we're looking at a centre back, but of course the way stories come out on social media and the way things change. When I'd read that initially this morning, it was a case it was pretty much it was happening, but then you've just told me there, no, apparently there's a Brazilian club and a German club looking at him as well. So it's not cut and dry for all the people who are running about saying it was definitely happening. But either way, it is encouraging to see that we're at least looking at a department, and it does give you that feeling that maybe, just maybe now, the floodgates are about to open. Because, as you rightly say, there has been a lot of links flying about in the wake of the Adam Idah deal being done. But yeah, we'll see what comes of that one. It's a free transfer as well, so I mean that helps with the Celtic board. I'm not too bothered about what price they pay for a player. Whether it's cheap, if it's a free transfer, they pay a lot. As long as the player comes in and does a job, then so be it. But yeah, we'll just need to keep our eyes on that one. What comes of it.
Yeah, I mean, Regan, I can't say I know much about him. I had a quick look at him earlier, and I think McLaughlin P has heard the same as I have. He looks like he's got a bit of a crunch of a tackle. I almost feel like, he just by looking at everything about him, he just kind of Romero at Spurs, Regan, who you'll be filming with. He just looks like he's got a red card written all over this guy. Just that South American hot blood in him. Just I can just see it happening. They're saying he's more of a number 6. With Quan going out the door today, and in the links this morning of this guy, I mean, I'm putting two together and getting 95. But I mean, I could see more chess pieces moving to get Quan out the door to bring in this guy. Matt O'Reilly's still in the door now and at the club. It's looking less and less likely that he's going to leave. By the way, that's my opinion on it. We'll get talking about that, but. Let's stick with Tapia the new. Regan, any thoughts on this guy? There's talks that he could play centre back as well.
That might be something Brendan Rodgers might look at as well. That he can play a lot of places on the park. But yeah, I think that in general, I think the biggest thing for me is what Brendan Rodgers said this time last year, and he said that. In his first time at Celtic, he had training where every player on the second Celtic squad were able to beat the first Celtic squad. And I think that's what he wants to get back to. He wants to get back to Stuart Armstrong being on the bench, Paddy Roberts being on the bench, Edward being on the bench. He wants to get back to that strong bench. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I was kind of rolling my eyes on Sunday when I'm seeing the bench. I'm going, what happens if we're 0-0 with 20 minutes to go and I don't think we've got anybody on the bench that was kind of, I was thinking was able to go on and make a difference. I think that's the problem for Brendan. I think he sees the game pretty open, and he sees that bench needs strengthening, because as much as I think that the projects are great, I think sometimes you can overload the squad with too many projects, David, and so sometimes you need ready-made players that are just ready-made to go in and make the squad a totally better place to be. Because as much as Celtic going about projects, but Brendan Rodgers wants quality that can go in and make a difference. And I think hopefully this guy is the as somebody that, even if he doesn't start the majority of the matches, he's somebody that Brendan Rodgers can go, right, I know this guy can be on the bench and I can rely on him to go on and make a difference in the game. The biggest example is Adam Idah, who we're ready to sign. You know, Brendan Rodgers, I'll go back to that game against Motherwell. The game against Motherwell were absolutely hopeless. We played terrible. Motherwell go 1-0 up. They probably should have made it 2-0. And then he made a big call because the week before we played St Johnstone away and McGregor scored to make it 1 each. And we played terrible that game as well. And that was a big game for Brendan Rodgers because even though people know missed it, the pressure was right on. You know, because people were starting to doubt and go, is it second time round? Is people no enjoying it? But I think the fact that he showed, right, I'm willing to take somebody who's a mainstay in this team, Kyogo. I'm willing to take that risk to take Kyogo off. So I think this guy would be great for the squad because we need squad strengthening.
No, yeah, we do. And he's asking the question, why are we looking at people who aren't going to start? We need better than we have. I mean,
so we've decided that Tapia isn't better than Liam Scales, who gets lambasted pretty much every week by, I'd say, about 80% of the Celtic fans. If you look on there,
and I'm not picking on you here, I've just saved a couple of ones because it's creating debate, which I love. Free transfers aren't going to improve us in Europe. We've spent the last 20 minutes saying not to concern ourselves over how much we're spending on players when it's in the 9 million brackets. Why does a free transfer worry people just as much as a £10 million signing does? Phil? Because I remember a certain Josip Matip signed for a free transfer for Liverpool, and I mean, I know we're talking about obviously a higher level of club and player, but at no point did anyone concern themselves that they got a player for free. They got a player that they felt was going to improve their side, and I can't get on board with just because a player's free that automatically makes him shite. His contract's ran out at a club. He wants to try play somewhere else after 4 years at Celta Vigo. Don't think that suddenly makes him not worth looking at, or maybe not as good as what we've got. I mean, I'm only playing devil's advocate here because I haven't seen Tapia, so I can't really say whether he's good or not. But from when you just look at the profile of player, if he had 3 years left in his contract at Celta Vigo, international, where is he from again? Is it Paraguay? Peru. Big, strong defensive midfielder, played 25 appearances last year in La Liga. I mean, is he worse than Scales? Doubt it. I just try not to worry too much about the fact that it's a free transfer either, Phil. I imagine he'd probably rack up a decent fee if he had 2 years on his contract.
Yeah, I wouldn't read too much into it at all. Says you point out there, good players let their contracts run down. Circumstances happen. The most, obviously the biggest one, the elephant in the room regarding free transfers happened literally this summer. The biggest one was obviously Mbappe went to Real Madrid on a free transfer. Remember Sol Campbell going to a free transfer to Arsenal, and Arsenal went invincible not long after. He was at the heart of the defence. So it happens. Good players go for free transfers as well. Just because their contracts ran out, there could be circumstances. They fell out with the management team. They've decided they just want a new challenge. It doesn't mean that they're rubbish or anything. And of course, Schmeichel coming into us. Yeah, so it happens, man. Don't get too worried about the price tag if we've paid anything or not. So there's different circumstances within old world football, and some players do just let their contracts run out and for different reasons. So again, I wouldn't read too much into it at all regarding that one.
And I think Phil makes a good point. You just need to look at Celtic overall. Brendan Rodgers has brought in some great free transfers. Scott Sinclair, Cole Toure, Schmeichel. I mean, all these guys made a big difference to Celtic. Even Joe Hart. I mean, people keep talking about free transfers. Look, Schmeichel's been absolutely brilliant. We come in. I mean, like, I don't know why people get in such a clamour if it's a free transfer. I mean, I'll give you a great example. Shankland at Hearts. I mean, he's going to be a free transfer in January, but people are trying to buy him at the moment for what, 4 or 5 million, but it's because nobody will pay that.
David Kelly's hit the nail on the head there, Regan. If you look, Larson left us on a free.
Yeah.
I don't think any Barcelona fans would say that he got a shiter
Aye.
version of Larson if because he was on a free transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, Mr. Dembele was all technically a free transfer as well.
Aye,
I mean,
that's right, that's true.
The list of examples you could go on. I'm just making the point that I don't want people to be like, we've got people concerned about us spending 9 million, and you've got people concerned that we're not spending anything on a play. I'm not saying we're signing the boy. It's obviously just purely a link. If he comes in, I would be quite happy with that. I mean, I think, and as somebody made a good point here, I think he is more predominantly a central defensive midfield player.
Yeah.
Whether he would go straight into a centre back role, I know he can play there from what I've read. I don't know if that would be where Rodgers would be looking to play him. But let's keep the ball rolling. We've got lots to talk about. 110 of you watching live. Hit that like button. Let's have a wee quick chat about Matt O'Reilly. So one of the key suitors in the chase for Celtics, Matt O'Reilly, looks to have bowed out of the race as Brighton and Hove Albion, who had been in contact with Celtic over a potential move for Matt O'Reilly, have shifted their attention elsewhere, snapping up Brajan Gruda from Mainz in a deal worth 25 million, according to Fabrizio Romano. The arrival of Gruda, the highly rated young midfielder, signals at Brighton's intent to bolster their squad, but also likely closes the door on any move for Matt O'Reilly. I also believe, Regan, that Atalanta have turned their attention to another attacking midfielder as well. You put it in our group in our group chat tonight. If you want to remind me of his name, I didn't write it down. It was an Italian boy, I believe.
Yeah, I can't remember his name myself, David, because I've been.
Who cares? We're not Atalanta fans. Fuck it. But does that spell that they've maybe had? I mean, a fifth bid was rejected by Celtic yesterday, Regan. So if they've turned their attention to another attacking midfielder, how likely is it that Matt O'Reilly will be a Celtic player by the time the window shuts?
I think he will, David. I think I'm going to stick my neck on the line, but if it does, don't quote me on that, because I know what social media is like. But I mean,
I'm going to clip that, mate.
I think in terms of Matt, I don't think he's somebody that's going to do a method that Dembele when Brendan Rodgers was here and try and get out of the club. I think he's very happy where he is. I think he knows his place. And I think as well, we spoke on the Tuesday ticket about the fact that Denmark have got the ex-Celtic player as a manager now. So, and I think Schmeichel being at Celtic will help Matt O'Reilly as well, because the Denmark manager will be watching, and he'll be in contact with Schmeichel as well, because I think Schmeichel will be named the person that will lead the team. So I've got no qualms. The only thing I would say is that Celtic might say that this might be the peak time to get more money. That's the only thing I'm thinking about. Is Celtic might try and say, well, this is the time that we need to get the money in. But yeah, I don't think that Matt O'Reilly will go now. But
I don't think he'll go either, Regan. I'm with you, mate. I think he'll sign a new contract. Fuck it. Sign a new contract. He'll be the highest paid player ever at Celtic.
Didn't he sign a new one this time last year? I'm pretty sure he was one of the ones that
signed one. Okay.
Sign another. Why not?
See the thing that I'm interested in. I'm glad that the club are actually standing up and having the actual audacity to get the price that they want. Because I think sometimes when Scottish football gets involved, they sort of no, 23 million. Yeah, we'll take it. But I'm glad it's 28, because I did say before, I think it'll be 28, David. And that's what I do believe that Celtic will ask for. But I think as well that we also need to remember that that I don't think he'll cause problems. And I think in terms of Celtic overall. I think if we did lose him later on in the window, he's somebody that we probably wouldn't be able to replace either. So you don't want to lose him with say 2 days to go in the window, because I'm not confident.
Nah, it's getting too close, mate.
I'm not confident in the Celtic board to replace him. But by the same token, I do think it would be a great bit of business. But I think if he scored 18 goals last season, or 18 contributions to the squad, and I think that's something Brendan Rodgers spoke about. So I'm pretty happy, David.
But Phil, Regan's touched on it there, where it's getting closer and closer to the window closing, and unless Celtic have got somebody lined up that we just don't know about yet, I would be concerned if we, as it gets closer, that we let him go. We don't bring someone in. But I am confident now that because we keep knocking back these bids, I think Celtic are willing to keep a hold of him, and maybe just let's get you to January. We'll see how you get on in this new look Champions League. You know, I know Atalanta, he would be playing in that Champions League format if he was to go there. But if they've now turned their attention elsewhere, then maybe that boat's now sailed. Brighton obviously aren't going to have Champions League football this year, and looks like they've also no longer maybe interested in signing them. So maybe Rodgers has just said, new format, far more teams to play against, a far bigger shop window to show you off in. Let's just get to January, and then we can see about letting you go. Because if you keep up the form that you're playing in, there is these bids are going to come around again. There is no way in hell Matt O'Reilly doesn't get offered, gets the move that he's probably hoping for, even if he hangs on till January.
Well, I've said that a few times in recent shows. I'm leaning towards him staying. I'm very confident that he'll be here, and I think he'll be here for the full season. I know you're bringing up January there. I don't see him going in January either. I think he's going to stick around. He's just got that demeanour about him where he doesn't seem like a player that is going to cause a ruckus. I think if he was, with the way obviously the Adam Idah headlines, well, Adam Idah eventually was began making it awkward for Norwich. I think with the amount of very public bids that Celtic have knocked back now, I think if Matt O'Reilly was going to be awkward about it, I think something would have happened by now. But he hasn't done it yet. I think he's very much on board with Brendan Rodgers. Whatever Brendan's selling, he's definitely buying it. Yeah. He seems to be, he's clicked with him right away. And I think he's here for this season as well. And I think this time next summer, I think his value will have gone up the way. I know Regan's talking about the board might think it's peak value. I think he could push his value up a bit more with some stellar performances in Europe. And if he leads us to, let's be honest, the treble isn't outside the realms of possibility. It's there on the table right now. So yeah, if we go and win all 3 trophies this season, then I think it pushes his value up even more. So I think it's very likely now that he will be here.
See, that's a great point you make, Philip. I want to ask you guys, do you think the Miovski transfer, that the fact that the 4th biggest team in Scotland, Aberdeen, have actually sold a player for and I think it's their record package. You think they're looking and going, if Aberdeen can get a record package for their player, when Aberdeen's not the best for them, but the fact that they can get, I think they'll turn about 6.8 and plus add-ons as well. So I think that's a great deal for Scottish football to show that we're not going to mess about here.
Yeah. Aberdeen were perfectly entitled to hang out for as much. I mean, it's interesting because amount of fans, Celtic fans, me included, that would love us to have signed Miovski. And of course, when you look at the price that they've paid, then we're also at the same time putting out a message of Brendan Rodgers has said it. Pay for the player, not the league. So we can't put out that message and then look at Miovski and go, we wouldn't have paid 6.8 million for Miovski. It's like, no, because I think he would have been worth it. I definitely do. I think he's, to be fair, maybe it's actually a bit cheaper than what he's put off, because I think he is a quality striker and I think he'll go on to prove that. But yeah, it's good to see that Aberdeen fair enough have done that. They've got a good deal for him. So fair play to them. They've stood strong in that one instead of the usual stuff. I think there was one, God, I want to say a couple of years ago, it was at Motherwell, where that, was it Van de Ven, the Dutch guy, where Kettlewell, the Motherwell manager, said in a press conference, the way he worded it was like he was pure smug, like, oh, it'll take a lot to prize him away from us. And then like a week later, they sold him for like less than £500,000. And it's like, come on now, that's not really standing strong and keeping the key asset. But Aberdeen, fair play to them, they've done that, and they've got maximum value for them in that case. So yeah, good on them.
There was I've still got it up here. Robert Davey, he says, "Have you seen the way he celebrated all our goals? He's going nowhere." I mean, how much can you read into a player's celebrations? Phil, stick to you just now. Obviously, like, we're no body language experts on this podcast. Plenty of them out there you can watch. But from what I've seen, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't look like he's a player that's not enjoying his football. And before you answer that, I just want to bring up David Kelly's point. He's saying, are we all forgetting how awful O'Reilly was from January till the last few games? Not a coincidence that we had turned down the Atletico bid. He'll go if an acceptable bid comes in. Now, I'll take you back to my first point about the celebrations. Now, he knows that there's bids getting turned down right now. And we're not seeing, so far, that dip in, I don't want to say attitude, but dip in form, or maybe dip in enthusiasm, we could say, when he was going through that wee slump in January. Now, I think Matt O'Reilly's come out in an interview and said that, yes, he admits that his form did go out the window, and I think he was a bit distracted, Phil, because of the bids coming in that were being rejected. But I think he has hired a mental coach or whatever to help him deal with these sort of distractions. And I think he's quite openly said that he's dealing with this sort of speculation around him this window far better because of that. So, I mean, let's go back to my original question. How much can we read into the celebrations about where Matt O'Reilly could be at the end of this window?
It does look like there's a lot of good camaraderie there. I think he tweeted something or Instagram something just after the first game, just about how it's great to be back, you know. And I know it's a really simple little post, but again, just things like that, you know, just show that, you know, he's enthusiastic. So the celebrations, even though they're not particularly my cup of tea, all the wee silly dances for TikTok and Instagram and all that, but fair play. If they enjoy it, then whatever, you know, it's a bit of fun, I suppose. What I would say back to that point as well about how poor O'Reilly was from January till the last few weeks. Who was actually good in the Celtic team from about the middle of the season to about the springtime? Because we went through a real dip in that middle part of the season. The first game back in the league after the January break against Ross County, 1-0 victory, and the players actually got booed off. Alistair Johnson looking absolutely perplexed, walking off the park. There was that game, there was a draw up at Pataudry, there was this, we scraped by Motherwell, scraped by Hibs, we lost to Hearts. We had a really rotten time. So I think Matt O'Reilly was just indicative of the whole team were just playing way below par. Because up until Christmas time, or in the run-up to the Christmas period, we stayed undefeated until the start of December. Then we lost 2 league games in a row to Hearts and Kilmarnock. And then we had a bit of a dip, and especially after the new year, we've it took us a while to get back into gear. I think Hitachi's return was crucial to that. I think he was a massive catalyst for that one. But I say Matt O'Reilly, I don't know, I feel like maybe it's just a bit too coincidental that people are pinning that on him. I think the whole team had a massive dip from the mid in that sort of spell as well. And I think O'Reilly, just as good as he played at times last season, I don't think he could carry the whole lot when some of the mistakes that were happening, like losing goals at the back post in the last minute to Kilmarnock and stuff like that. You know, I don't think Matt O'Reilly can really pull us out of that hole in that case. I wouldn't pin it all on him in that one and say that, he was obviously pining for a move for Atletico. I just think the whole team just dipped at that point in the season.
Yep.
David Kelly comes with a good point, saying KT had a megaphone in the Green Brigade just before he went to Arsenal. Footballers are loyal to the coin, and rightfully so. As long as he plays well while he's here, he can go with our best wishes. I mean, it's a fair point, David. I can't argue with you there, mate. Not that I like to argue with you, but I can't argue with you. Anyway, let's move on from Matt O'Reilly because it's making me nervous and depressed talking about him maybe leaving. Another one that could potentially be leaving that doesn't make me this nervous or depressed is that Daniel Kelly could be on his way to Millwall. The 18-year-old who hails from East Kilbride has been frozen out of the hoops. First team squad by Brendan Rodgers after turning down a new deal at Celtic Park earlier this summer, leaving Kelly to play in the Lowland League with the B team until his contract expires December 31st. Phil, quick word on Daniel Kelly. How do you feel about us losing another another player from our academy away to go play for Millwall in the Championship. I think.
Championship. A quick word. I'll give you 3. Nobody cares, mate. Like, honestly, no offense to the boy, but he did look like a bit of promise to him. Obviously, the pathway isn't there for him. We've discussed this many times. Is it a big loss for us? I don't think it's a big loss. He did look like he had something, but we are quite, packed in that area. So he's going to have to wait in line. He's obviously not willing to do that. Fair enough. We move on. I don't think it's a big one. In fact, I was talking about Carrpool Dembele just the other night to you when we were having a chat and saying, he's got to move to like QPR and stuff like that. So fair enough. Off to Millwall he goes, Championship level. It's a decent enough level. Fair play to the lad. Good luck. But I don't think it's any real issue for us.
It's not a big loss. Nah. I mean, fair. Whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to be too dismissive because he's got to think of his career as well. And the way Rodgers was very clear, Regan, on in his comments about these young boys, he's like, I'm aware of what these young boys with this type of talent are worth paying. And that's what we're willing to pay you. Daniel Kelly obviously believes he either should be getting paid more or getting played more. And if he's getting that option at Millwall, then fair play to the boy. But Rodgers obviously doesn't feel that he's worth offering any better contract to, which suggests he obviously doesn't think he's going to make a real dent in the first team this season anyway. Another Bosun Lowell sort of situation for me, Regan. Like, cool, like you've done all right up till now. Maybe it's best that you move on, and that's fine.
Yeah, I think the big memory of him, he scored a cracking goal at Celtic Park. Remember he scored in the
against Dundee 7-1.
Aye, but I think Brendan Rodgers has showed him the pathway. I think he played in that game that we get beat against Hearts. He played in that game when we get beat at time cancel. Was it, Phil?
Yeah, the John Beaton, Don Robertson infamous one. Yep,
he played in that. So Brendan Rodgers has obviously thought, I'll go. This guy's want the new contract. I'll show him that he's got a pathway, and he's probably still wanting more money. So I don't think you can blame the club here because they've shown him there's a pathway, and he's still wanting more money. And also, I think as well, like I've said before, I don't think it's really appealing for somebody for a young player to be at Celtic anymore because of the lower league now.
It's not appealing at all. Like,
no, it's not
football.
No, it's not. It's not appealing. But in the same token, it's a hard one. But the same token, like Daniel Kelly. I'm saying David Kelly because he's David Kelly. David Kelly. I don't know if you're good enough to play for Celtic. Maybe you are, but I don't think Daniel Kelly is obviously at the level to be playing for Celtic right now. And obviously that's what Rodgers thinks. So, like I said, good luck to the boy if he's going to go to Millwall. That's fair. But Regan, yeah, right. That Lowland League is a nonsense. Anyway, let's keep it going because we've got lots to talk about. We're going to have a little bit extra tonight because why the fuck not? It's not like there's anything else on the telly to watch. On the telly. There's something on telly tonight, Phil.
Some English League Cup games are on. I've got Sheffield United and Wrexham on the telly at the side there. Genuinely, I do. I know there's another game on as well nearby, but I won't be watching that one. I'll put it that way.
Apparently nobody else is because there's plenty of empty seats according to the comments. Right. Celtic are also in discussions with Liverpool over the signing of left-back Owen Beck, who spent most of last season on loan at Dundee. And it was a transfer target for the Hoops in January transfer window. Liverpool are asking for $3 million, a measly $3 million that we just gave away a Boston Lowell for. But Celtic have yet to reach that figure. Shock. According to reports from the Liverpool side of things. Regan, we've got $3 million sitting there that we've just got for fuck all. How would you feel if Celtic went and splashed $3 million on Owen Beck, the Dundee, the former Dundee loanee?
They obviously like him, David, because people that are close to the club always link him with the club, and they always say that Celtic like what they see with him. So I think Brendan Rodgers obviously sees him as well, and he thinks that's somebody that I can really try and see see him in the Celtic first team. So I think it's somebody that we should be looking at. But do I think it'll happen? Probably not, because I think if Celtic had the full belief that he was going to make an impact, then they would have paid £3 million, because I've certainly got that. I just don't know if that says to me that they don't have full trust if they're doing it so many times, because Celtic were willing to pay £3 million for Bernaby. So if they're not willing to pay £3 million for Beck, that just screams red flags for me, David.
Is he good enough, Regan?
I remember you said in the group chat about that night Celtic played Dundee that he had a particular bad match. I wouldn't say I've watched every single Dundee game like a Dundee
Like a Dundee fan.
Say that in glimpses I've seen him, he does look as if he's got full potential. But I do think that he is somebody that we should probably be looking at, because see, when you think about it, right? He's going to.
Sorry, on you go, mate. Sorry.
He's going to be competing with Greg Taylor, so I think it's somebody that he can learn off Greg Taylor, and then hopefully, if he proves himself, then he can be in. I don't think it's somebody
Not what we're after then, Regan. Not what we're after then, mate, is it? That's not what we're after. I think the fans have made it clear now that they want someone to take that jersey from Greg Taylor immediately. Not because Greg Taylor isn't... I like Greg Taylor. But what I'm saying is, fans want someone that can walk in and go, right, Greg, give me your shirt. Thank you very much. You're on the bench now. Like, immediately, because they're that good. Owen Beck doesn't do that for me, Regan. I think you were just about to say that too. He's not going to do that. Can he learn? Can he learn from Greg Taylor? Yes, but I don't want him to learn from Greg Taylor. I want him to go, Greg, I'm fucking better than you. Get on the bench. Do you know what I mean? Like, and from what I'm seeing in the comments here is, I think most people agree with me that I mean, Liverpool are willing to let him go for $3 million. He's not exactly a big, that's no the kind of player that I'm after. I want a player that Liverpool are going, we're not sure if we want to give him permanently. We might give him on loan because we might want to see how he gets on next year for us. Or if you're wanting him, you're going to have to pay top dollar for him. I'm not, I don't know, man. Like you, Regan, I am watching Dundee every week. And I know there was a lot of talk that he looked good. I mean, he looked good in a Dundee side. But Yang turned him inside out and sent him packing like umpteen times in that game. And I think a lot of people, I'm sounding harsh. I know I'm sounding harsh here. And there'll be a few people probably watching and going, mate, he looks class. There's a lot of potential there. But I just think we're screaming out for someone to take Taylor's jersey now, Phil. No in 6 months' time when the Champions League games are done and we've been horsed out at early doors. I want someone that can come in straight away and go, you're no targeting this left back side this time, Juventus.
Yeah. Or even Motherwell. Anyone could be targeting that left-hand side. We talk about it all the time. Definitely a weak link. But Owen Beck, how do I feel about it? I'm mixed on it. I'm not totally against it, but I'm not totally for it. I agree that if he did come in, he is not coming in as a starter right away. He could potentially, because Brendan Rodgers might be able to bring something out of him. I know he's been playing, the game you're talking about, the Yankton. Is that the game we beat them 7-1? Is that the game you're talking about, David? Who in the Dundee side had a good game that night? They were all garbage by the looks of it, getting beat 7-1 off us that night. So I don't want to say Yang up against them, then fair enough if Yang was turning them inside out. There was moments last season that seemed that he did show that he has got something there, but he isn't coming in right away and becoming the number one. And you're 100% correct. We have to have somebody right now who will instantly push Greg Taylor out of that team, which I know doesn't go down well with certain parts of the fan base as well, because there's a lot who do stick by Greg Taylor through thick and thin. But hey, it's all about opinions. It's all about, we know one person on the bus who definitely will not change his opinion on Greg Taylor. And to be fair, though, he has been consistent in that. Even when Ange Postecoglou was in charge and Greg Taylor was actually playing well, he still would highlight Greg Taylor as a weak link even then. So this isn't a new thing that Liam on a Friday night has just decided to run with as a gimmick. Genuinely, he has been, go back and watch old episodes, he's been consistent going back years on Greg Taylor. He's pining for a replacement for Greg Taylor. He's begging for it. But yeah, we do need somebody who is going to come in and nail that first team down. Because when we do play these Champions League games, you're right, we are going to get targeted on the left-hand side of the fence. And it's not just Taylor, obviously Scales as well as another one. Both of them definitely need upgraded going into that competition.
I think I'm not trying to write because, like David, I like bringing up your comments, David. You can't write off every player that has one bad game. Then we aren't signing anyone. That's a fair point. I just, like I said, I've only watched a couple of these games, so I can only go on from what I've seen. But I think there probably is plenty of potential there. I think that's a definite, right? I just don't want potential right now. I need somebody that's going to compete for that jersey right now. And again, I'll hammer the point home. I like Greg Taylor. I think Warlord's a bit tight on him, to be fair, but
really is.
He's the punk duck. He's entitled to.
Oh, he's a free spirit. He does what he wants. The old punk duck world. The wise man of the bus does what he wants.
Yep.
There's only one punk duck. Well, in fact, that's not a lie. There's two of them now apparently running about with. Right. We've still got plenty of time. There's loads to talk about. Right. Regan, did you see this one? Abu Kamara. We're not finished with it yet, Norwich. We want a winger off you as well. So we'll maybe sign him in 4 years' time if we can get the negotiations started now. But the England Under-20 international has only made 4 first-team appearances for Norwich, but impressed on loan with Portsmouth last season, scoring 10 goals and assisted on 11 occasions. Abu Kamara, Regan, I think he's a right-sided winger. What's your thoughts? You like him?
I think we've got plenty of wingers, as Brendan Rodgers once said, but I think that would signal to me that Mikey Johnson was used as a decoy on Sunday, because I think that Brendan Rodgers has sent a message. I don't think Mikey Johnson will be at the club, as much as I feel like that this has been Mikey Johnson's 40th season at the club, saying, I can see Mikey Johnson doing I think I've heard that for about 40 years now. Everybody says I think Mikey Johnson's going to do great this season, but yeah, I feel a bit sorry for him. But yeah, I think that Mikey Johnson will move on, and I think that this person from Norwich could potentially be in, because I think as well that am I right in saying that Portsmouth, they went up to the Championship?
They're playing Leeds at the weekend. They won the Championship. Yep.
Aye, so he's obviously done well last season. He's tasted a bit of success. So, and Celtic have obviously been looking for somebody that can add more quality. And I think Brendan Rodgers has had a great success when he's moved for players down in England for Celtic previously. So, I would be all for it, and hopefully that Celtic and Norwich will take a little bit quicker this time, because hopefully they've built some sort of friendship and they can actually strike a deal quite quickly.
Aye, get around a campfire and sing Kumbaya and just trade players.
I think Norwich will be sick when the fax comes through with Celtic at the top of the letterhead. They'll be like, oh, no, them again. Really? I don't know if they'll be keen to deal with us. That's the interesting part about this. It's almost like
Peter
Celtic.
Lawwell. Yeah, can imagine to see him turn up with a big bag of like copper coins, just paying Adam Idah pennies, like just counting them out like that old dear at the fucking hell, hurry up, hen. There was another one I wanted to talk about quickly. Another left back. It was an American boy. Where is he? Christopher Lund. He is an American international left back playing for Palermo. He had 35 appearances in Serie B last year, Phil. Could this be the upgrade that we're looking for? Rumours are very thin. About as thin as the Jeffrey Schlupp rumours that were kicking about the other day. Did you manage to catch any of Good old Christopher playing in the Copa America before they got kicked out of the league.
I didn't know. I was watching the Euros, so it was clashing with the Copa America, and the Copa America was too late a time, no chance. What I did find interesting about the Lund one is, if you've seen the story, or one of the tweets that was doing the rounds, but it says that Celtic sent Mark Cooper to watch him. Now, we speculated on who is the new head of recruitment, who is the new chief scout, because Celtic haven't announced this. They've announced that, Lowell Jr., and the other guys like Joe Dudgeon, they've left the building, but they never ever came around to telling us who's replaced them. But a few months back, there was a rumour about a scout named Mark Cooper apparently had been brought in. But again, the club never ever officially confirmed that. And of course, people, when his name came up, pointed out, he spotted Federico Valverde when he was 16 years old playing in Uruguay and stuff like that. But yeah, I did find it interesting that his name was credited as Celtic sent him to watch Lund. So I wonder if that is also sort of confirmation that he is now working with the club in a capacity. Because nothing ever official came out. So yeah, that's interesting that the club have actually maybe got somebody in place, because that was another thing we've all been wondering, what's going on for a club that made it very public about the structure of who does what, to then suddenly let Lowell Jr. and Dudgeon go and then not tell us what the new structure is. It was a bit interesting, but I did see Mark Cooper's name. Now, if this guy has got an eye for a player, as people have pointed to the Federico Valverde one, although to be fair, I think any scout would have spotted that he was going to be a player, given what he is now, the level he is. Is it a massive achievement? Who knows? You'd like to think that, again, could this be the guy that can replace Greg Taylor? Is he what we're looking for? I can't say I'm a massive connoisseur of Serie B. We should again ask Mick, because he watches a lot of Italian football. Maybe he would tell us how good he is. At Palermo, can't say I know much, but again, it's just encouraging to see us getting linked with left backs, David, because that's always my biggest worry. The idea of us going into this season when this window closes with one left back, like we did for the second half of last season, letting Bernabei go, we'll just chance it with Greg Taylor for the rest of the season. I just think it would be absolute madness to again just go through to January at the very least with just one left back. So the very fact we're getting linked with some, it's just encouraging to me. Whether the boy turns out to be the answer, if we sign him and he's good, again, I'll put up in all speculation at the moment. But yeah, it's just an encouraging sign that we're actually linked to one.
Yeah, and Regan, quickly, Jeffrey Schlupp, I believe he won the Premier League with Leicester. Before moving to Crystal Palace, he's played plenty of games for them. 31-year-old, looks quick, looks strong. He's got a hell of a left foot on him by that goal he scored a couple of seasons ago, I think it was. He's the one that out of all the players that we've had linked in the last few days at left back, he's the one I would want. Plenty of experience. He knows he's won a Premier League title. He plays. He's attacking minded. He can play as a winger, left wing back. Left back, fills a fair few positions there. Plenty, like I said, plenty of experience. He's the one that I would certainly like us to try and go for on a permanent basis. I don't want him on loan. I want us to go out and sign the boy, even at the age 31. The way these guys can keep themselves fit now, plenty of years left in those legs. Regan, what's your thoughts on that particular link?
I don't want to jinx it, David, but I think this could be quite an easy deal to do, because it was actually quoted by some people that are known to know what the Celtic are doing. So I think Brendan Rodgers and Kasper Schmeichel might just be the perfect match to try and get him to Celtic. I think it'd be the perfect signing. I really
Agent
do.
Casper. Send Agent Casper have a chat with him, Regan.
I think it could be a possibility. And I think that the fact that he's 31, I think he could be the perfect foil for Greg Taylor, because, like, I think as well we've got, I think it's 9 matches in Champions League, so I think you need to, like, as much as people go, I don't know where he's going to get much game time, but I think the potential there is you could play Greg Taylor, say, in the Champions League, and then you could play Schlupp in the Scottish League, then you could play Schlupp in the Champions League. So you could swap these guys about, and I think the progression of the team wouldn't change much. So I think he'd be the perfect signing. If I was, I think he probably will be a Celtic player by the end of the transfer window, I would say, David. But I think it'd probably be late on because I think Crystal Palace, they've probably sold a lot of players this summer. They've sold the guy to Bayern. They've sold. They're possibly going to sell. Is it Mark Gahey to Newcastle?
And Eze keeps getting linked with moves away as well.
Possibly going to sell Eze. I wouldn't surprise me if he went to Chelsea or an Arsenal or a Spurs, something like that. So
Chelsea, they're saying everybody.
I think in terms of that, I think it'll probably be later on the window, maybe about 2 or 3 days to go. But I think it'd be a signing that we could possibly wait for. I think this might be a one where Brendan would go, I would take this late on the window because like we've seen, we got Jota and CCV so late on the window. So that's probably one that I would,
He'll be a deadline day signing, mate. I think
Yeah,
he'll be a deadline day signing.
that I would be willing to take because Palace will be looking just now, David, and they'll be trying to shape their squad. So they'll be looking to add, and then if he doesn't fit into the plans, then I think Brendan Rodgers will be right onto it. But also I don't think that he gets linked by people like Stephen sorry, David. I don't think he gets linked with Stephen McGowan from the Daily Mail, who's well suited by the club. You know, I think it's well known there. So I don't think he brings up that name if it's somebody that Celtic are no potential looking to bring in.
No, I agree with you. Don't ever apologise to me, Regan. Don't ever apologise to me, mate. You do not need to apologise. Schlupp, all we are doing is kicking the can down the road. I'm assuming you mean down the season. Walker says, Phil, is that a fair comment from Walker? I mean, I can understand where he's going with that. I'm going to assume he's talking about the age of the player. Doesn't, like I said, it wasn't concerning me too much. I think again, you're talking about this. You look back at the Schmeichel deal, 37-year-old. Let's say Schlupp's only 29, even 27. He does 2 good seasons as he moves on. I think we can go down that narrative as well. Like so, I wouldn't be too concerned about kicking the can down the road. I think he would be an instant upgrade on Greg Taylor. Being honest, I think that's the kind of guy. And then here, tell you what, let's sign Schlupp right away, and we bring in Owen Beck as well. And he can learn from Greg Taylor and Schlupp and be ready for next season because it's looking like Greg Taylor ain't going to be signing a new contract. So maybe we should go down that route, Phil. We bring them both in. Why the fuck not? We've got loads of money.
We have loaded with cash. That's something I was going to suggest actually, was something like that to bring in a guy who's an experienced head, Premier League experience, been playing down there all his days, played with Leicester. He was at Brentford for a spell and obviously Crystal Palace. Won the Premier League with Leicester City, obviously alongside Kasper Schmeichel. So he's obviously won the biggest prize there is down there. So yeah, the guy has got plenty of experience, and I think if he came in, I think he would become the first choice left back. And also the good thing about Schlupp, and I was talking about it on Friday night with Liam, is he's not just a left back. He can also play left midfield and in the middle of the park too. So he's got a bit of a utility feel to him, which is good because I think every squad needs a player that can fill in a few holes. That's always needed when injuries and suspensions come in. So I think Schlupp would be a good one. I'm not concerned about the age. At the end of the day, Lubomir Moravcik was 33 years old when we signed him, and he did all right. I remember Man United picking up Ibrahimovic when he was, 36 when he came to Man U, 35, 36. And he did well for the 2 seasons, then ended up at AC Milan a few years later. He went out to America to retire, then came back and played in Italy, still at the top of his game. So age, it's not a problem. Footballers are playing longer nowadays. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that one. It would be, I think, a good idea to do a younger player that can learn off of him because, yeah, I did see the comment earlier. I think Alex put it in the comments about Taylor not signing a new contract. Taylor might not be here in a year's time. Maybe he is more than acutely aware of all of the hatred. So I don't know, hatred maybe a strong word. Don't know if it is when there's Liam involved, but there is a lot of dislike of Greg Taylor from a part of the fan base. Maybe he's aware of that and is like, look, no matter what I do, I'm never ever going to win over a lot of these fans. I've came to Celtic. I've played a good few years, proved a lot of people wrong, and fair play, he has won a lot of trophies. What more is for him to do? So maybe he does just let his contract run out. One of those free transfers that we'll talk about that runs his contract down for reasons. Maybe he's one of them. So that could be the case. But yeah, I wouldn't be against Schlupp coming in. I think he would nail it in the first play at the left back spot right away. I think he'd be a solid addition. But again, I think he's one of many players that we're going to get linked with between now and the end of the window. I think the left back, we did a goalkeeper merry-go-round where it's keeping spin every week. A different name comes off. I think now that we've addressed the goalkeeper, we've now got Adam Idah in. It's going to be left backs will probably be the one that will be the merry-go-round up until the end of the window. A random name every couple of days.
Yeah, I think so too. Paw Patrol, just the dafties on tonight. Where's boys say? Well, I mean, I don't know. It's always us that does the Tuesday ticket. Boys is never on a Tuesday Paw Patrol, so I'm assuming you haven't been watching the Tuesday ticket. So there's the real dafty here. You'd be missing out. Walker is 2 years enough to build a team. Ange did it in a summer, so I think so. When push comes to shove, definitely. Does Celtic do it that often? No, probably not. And last but not least, before we head off, Quan's joined Hibs on loan. Good for you, Quan. I don't know how you're managing that, but I mean, to be fair, I think he did all right at St Mirren until he got injured. So that's they've obviously seen enough to go in from Regan. I mean, it gets them off our books just now to make way for crazy South American CDMs coming in. But
he started off well. David was saying he was going to go off Celtic and go to the Premier League right away, and he started off on a bad foot. He didn't start off too well.
I think he gave himself a mountain to climb, Regan. I don't think we would have been expecting much from him when he came in, but because he put that statement out, I think he made a right arse of it, we'll say. Right, guys, we've been on for an hour and 17 minutes. We've still got 76 here watching live. I do appreciate you sticking around for a wee bit longer, but there was so much to talk about tonight. And I hope we covered everything that you wanted us to talk about. And it's been great debate in the chat tonight. Lots of you have been sticking with us, so I do appreciate that.
So you'd like me to give you the poll results, David, that we put up at the start of the show?
I forgot we did that. So let's find out what our commenters think about
the question was, are we happy with the price we're paying for Adam Idah? And 138 people have voted, and 71% have said yes, they are happy, and 29% no. So very much majority yes there.
Good. I'm glad you are happy, because that's what it's all about, eh? It's all just about us being happy.
Indeed.
Fuck it. 9.5, splash the cash. I'm glad they done it. That's all I'll say. But right, boys and girls and all the in-betweens, have a good Tuesday. Go and watch that cooking show that you had on the telly. I saw. And if you are wanting to go and watch them, then be my guest. Might be quite funny to watch. Who knows? But thanks for joining us. If you don't want to see us dafties, then make sure to tune on Thursdays where Boise, you'll see him there.
Yep.
And you'll catch us dafties on every other day. And you'll catch us dafties on Tuesday. Call it the Tuesday Dafty Ticket Show. Have a good one, guys. Keep an eye out for more.
Catch you later, guys. See you.